I'm kind of excited because I finally made a video that caught some traction. I've never seen that before. And it was about the intrinsic nature of goodness and what makes something good is that it affirms itself, it remains true to itself. And what makes something evil is that it destroys itself. And I noticed that it had over 100 views, which is by far and away way greater than any of the other movies that I had made. So I thought, well, that's interesting. What about that? And apparently there was some guy named Singer who said something very similar in 1972. He had an argument that went something like, if you can help someone, if you have the means to be able to help someone, then you must help them. It's morally obligatory to give to charities, for example. Because, like, if there's some drowning kid in a pond, in a shallow pond, do you get your clothes wet and muddy and go save that kid because you have the means to save them? Or do you just let them drown because you don't want to get your clothes dirty? Well, if you were to tell somebody that story and you said that you didn't help, they would say you're evil. And it's because you had the means to help someone, but you chose not to. And so it bespeaks of something that's even deeper than that, where if the reason that you have to save the drowning kid is even deeper than just having the means, it's something to do with the fact that destruction itself is evil. Like, the thing that makes something evil is destruction. So, like, oh, well, you have the means to help someone who's in need. In need of what? Well, in need of not having some form of destruction. Like, if they're hungry and they need food to save them from having their bodies destroyed, or to save them from having their finances ruined, or to save them from having their heart broken, and things like that. These acts of destruction are inherently evil because they're destructive. And the implication of that then is that creation is good. And there's all kinds of implications about this. For example, like, how do we view God's creation? God created good and evil. Is the creation of goodness and evil good or evil? Well, because it's an act of creation, because it creates both goodness and evil, because it creates, it is good. But interestingly, if we were to destroy instead of create, and just let everything remain as nothing, like if creation had never been created, if I had never been born, would that have been good? Well, no, because it's always good to create. So intrinsic valuing of existence itself is what's behind that idea. In order to say that what is evil is destructive, then we have to say that creation is good, that existence is intrinsically valuable, that my life matters intrinsically, regardless of whether I've done anything with it or not. And so there was something else in there also about being authentic, being true to oneself is also good, and to lie or be inauthentic is evil. Because if I lie, I've destroyed myself and replaced it with a mask. And so there's so many implications to this idea that I really didn't give it credit for when I first made it. It was just an off-the-cuff remark. It literally took 2 minutes out of my life and I forgot about it. Well, later on, I went back and I checked on that video, and it had already gotten over 120 views. Now it's up to 130, and it seems to gain just a little bit every day. And it's amazing to me. It's the only video that I've made in months that anyone's really watched. The other videos are like 10 views and less. So this is 10 times the viewership, and it gains every day. People really care about this idea. And that surprised me. So I thought I'd do a longer form video exploring this concept a little more. The intrinsic value of goodness is creation. It's addition, multiplication, exponential growth, or growth in and of itself doesn't have to be exponential, but it becomes exponential. Because if growth is good, and creation is good, then if I create a new life, that's good. Like if I have kids, and if they have kids, that's good. And if they have kids, that's good. And so it just keeps compounding. And then look at what happens with evil. Well, killing my kid would be evil, obviously, but then they don't create after that. And so it just ends. And that's the difference between creation and destruction. So with destruction, it just dies, it stops. And what's evil about that is there's less existence because of it. If I kill someone, I kill their kids, I kill their grandkids, I kill their great-grandkids, etc. I've killed an infinite number of people if I kill one person, because they can no longer reproduce, especially if they're prepubescent. If they're pubescent, and then the probability of them having already reproduced is pretty high. So killing someone with a family is actually less evil than killing someone without one, weirdly, if that person were to eventually have kids. But if you kill a child, that is infinitely more evil than killing an adult, because that kid hasn't even gotten the chance to reproduce. So not only are you killing that kid, you're killing their kids, and you're killing their kids' kids, and you're killing their kids' kids' kids, etc. Infinitely. It is infinitely evil to kill a child. It's still evil to kill an adult, but it's infinitely less evil than killing a child because of that compounding subtraction over the generations that never got the chance to be. It's really strange to think about. And then it also makes me wonder about the Catholic view. Does that mean that if I masturbate, that's evil because it could have been a child? It does if I do that exclusively. If I just sit in my room for years and years and years and never have kids, it's the same thing as if I had killed my own kid, because I didn't give them the chance to become a person. So, I mean, this is like a really weird, radical idea, and it's so simple. Destruction is evil, creation is good. So, another one, like raping. Well, what about raping? Well, raping destroys the person's ability to be themselves. They can't be authentic while they're getting raped because that's taking away their consent. So they don't get to really be present. They have to be this person that is in agonizing pain. And if you've talked to someone who's been raped, they'll tell you that it changes you for life. You can't ever really get rid of it. It will change you. It will darken your soul. And then again, infinitely so for a child, especially if it's violent to the point where the uterus is destroyed and they can't have kids anymore. That's the worst, because now they can't even reproduce. If they don't destroy the uterus, then they are at least destroying the person's potential for health. They don't get to make the same choices. There's less choices now because they can't choose to have the same depth of faith and the same innocent purity of hope in their fellow people. There will always be that scar. And so there's less potential in the person. It dampens their spirit. So they don't jump as high, they don't skip as long, they don't sing as brightly as they used to. There's some darkening in them because of what has happened to them. So there's not only subtraction of one's body, physical health, physical harm is evil because it's destroying the body, but there's also mental and spiritual destruction. The destruction of one's soul is also evil. So, like, let's look at something like Hitler is through the lens of this destruction is evil kind of thing. Well, is it more evil or less evil that he was discriminate? Now, here's a really weird idea. So, and again, I'm not leading, I'm following this idea. I'm not leading this conversation. I'm just kind of exploring because it's a new concept to me. I just, like I said, randomly found it. So let's look at that. So what would happen if Hitler had killed everyone equally versus only killing Jews? Well, in the degree to which there is destruction, there is evil. Where there is destruction, there is evil. So it would have actually been more evil if Hitler had just haphazardly, randomly killed everyone equally. In the sense of the Columbine killers, that act seems to me to be more evil than actually targeting a particular group. Because if the person kills just randomly, then anybody and everybody is on the menu. That could include women and children. That could include people that do good things for other people that no longer can now because they're dead. That shooter has taken away all of those persons' future abilities to do good unto other people, and for that goodness to compound, kind of like pay it forward, only in reverse. If I killed someone or if I hurt someone, it takes away all of the goodness that they could have otherwise done to people. If I'm a complete asshole to someone over and over and over, it's gonna dampen their spirit and their trust in other people. So they will do less good in the world because I did less good to them. So when we apply creation and destruction of possibilities, opportunities, so here's where discriminatory stuff would become way worse, is if I discriminate, let's say in the workplace, then that is evil because I take away someone's opportunity to work there, which then takes away their ability to pay their bills or help buy gifts for their families and stuff like that. It stops the goodness train from flowing. And so there's this dead end now. There's just no possibilities for that person at that workplace because those opportunities have been taken away from them because of discrimination. So discrimination is good in the sense of, not good. Discrimination is less evil when the act is evil. So if you hurt less people, that's better than hurting more people. A person that targets, like for example, I know this is really edgy content and people might take this the wrong way, but like with the Charlie Kirk murder, the fact that they targeted someone that they believed was on the right means that they have some restraint as to who they're killing. So that means that they value someone, some group. There is value to them in something. So you could still reach that person. You could still say, well, if you value anti-Charlie Kirk, whatever that means to you, if that's what you value, then I can reach you there. I can meet you there. There's somewhere that we can go where you'll tolerate my presence and we can, have a good rapport. At least in that place. At least in regards to whatever anti-Charlie Kirk is. At least there's something. But if the person had killed not only Charlie Kirk, but also just the crowd and themselves at the end, that would have been way worse, perhaps infinitely worse, because then everyone's on the menu. You don't value anything. The person that does that wouldn't value anything at all. Everything would be equally worthless. That mass shooter, random shooter mentality where everyone is on the menu, that kind of mentality is infinite evil, because it says everything is valueless. Everything is worth nothing. There isn't anything on earth or in heaven that I value. I have nothing in common with anyone, not even with myself, because I don't value even myself. So I have nothing in common with myself. So then who the fuck is that? Is that an authentic person? Or is it just some hungry ghost of evil and destruction? It sounds to me like if somebody were to become an active shooter, that at least at that point, you have to say that person is no longer being authentic to themselves. Because they're saying that at least in part, whether it's the entirety of their being where it's a random act where it kills as many people as possible, irregardless of who they are, versus killing only a targeted group, there's at least in whole or in part something about myself as the shooter, or themselves as the shooter, that would be evil to them. So there's something that they don't value that causes them ultimately to take lives. So what makes that happen is simply the way that someone is looking at the world says there is a person, or there is a group, or perhaps it's even existence itself, which has no value, no purpose. They don't even matter. Their life is worth nothing. They shouldn't even be here. There's no purpose for them being here. That kind of a mentality means that the person that's saying that feels that, is evil. They have some evil in them. But that is not themselves. That evil that's in them is not them. It's in them, or it's on them, or it's inextricably attached to them. So they need to have the evil removed, not the person, because that would say that that person has no value, which would then destroy the person's value, which would then be evil, because it's destructive. But if I am creative about it, I will find a way to reach them and say that, hey, you value this though. Okay, well, if you value that, then you should be able to value the things that are necessary to that. And you should be able to value the things that are necessary to the things that are necessary to that, etc., etc., etc. Eventually, walking them through the path to find that everything in existence has value. Everything has value. Everyone has value. And that is apparent, I think, to most people simply through the act of existing. I have to say whether or not that act of being is good or evil. The fact that I even exist at all, what am I to say about that? If I say that that's evil, I'll kill everyone around me and myself. Columbine killer type mentality. If I say that it's good, that the act of being is good, then I will value not only my own act of being, but also other acts of being, other people being alive, other people being real, other people being true to themselves and authentic and creative and not destructive. And to the people that are destructive, that I recognize that that destruction cannot be them, because destruction The taking away isn't a presence itself. I don't believe that there would be a presence of absence unless you're going to say it in general, like Satan or something like that, like the incarnation of evil itself. But that evil wouldn't really be a person. That evil would be something subtractive. It would be something like the nothing, the taking away, the subtraction, the division. And if I were going to personify it, then it would have to take the form of like a devil or something like that. Now, why does God not kill the devil? Well, because acts of destruction are evil. Just like acts of being are good, acts of non-being or acts that take away being are evil. No matter whose being it is, it would be evil. So God does not kill the devil because you can't take away and somehow have the taking away give back. It doesn't give back. It just takes away. There's just less of existence. If you remove the devil, there's less of existence. Well, that's saying that there's something wrong with existence. That's saying that there's at least a part of existence that should never have been there. God made a mistake. He should not have put that there. That shouldn't be there. Why is that there? Well, it's there because it's a part of creation. It's a part of existence. It's a part of being. And some parts of being are dark. Some parts of being are evil. So we shouldn't try to say that existence is so evil so as to be forced to take the evil away. We don't get rid of evil by committing evil. We don't destroy destruction. We create creation. So in order to get rid of evil, you just create good, or you allow goodness, because everything in existence is committing the act of being. And if the act of being is creative and good, then everything is good by default, which means if someone does commit evil, that they're not being themselves. Their true self wouldn't bother committing evil because their true self would be good enough to know better, good enough to be better, good enough to act better. And so the act of being intrinsically, not extrinsically, but intrinsically in and of itself, to itself, valuable, simply by being one is good automatically, that mentality means, again, that suicide, just suicide alone, is evil because you're removing yourself from yourself. There's less of you, there's less opportunities, there's less possibilities for you in the future. You can't do anything anymore because you're dead. That's bad. And because I care about you, I don't want that to happen to you. And if you cared about yourself, you would want something better than suicide for yourself. And so it's just like there's some things in there that are really intuitive, like suicide is evil, murdering is evil, but it's also a good measure of how evil something is, because killing a child is infinitely worse than killing an adult. Killing indiscriminately is infinitely more evil than killing a specific targeted group, because at least if you're only targeting some group, you're protecting or saving ostensibly some other group. So you're at least valuing some group. You just haven't made it all the way there to realize that all groups are equally valuable in the sense that they're all committing the act of being, which is intrinsically good. If creation is good, if existence is good, then being in existence, being in creation is also good. And so it just goes on and on. It's really interesting. If this one gets any more views, I might do some more on it, but we'll see.